not, in any given paragraph, you should never have more than one direct quote in there. Anyway, those are to be used judiciously. Treat that like the jalapeno pepper in cornbread. Not too much. Direct quotes are to be used sparingly. I'm far more interested in you reworking the material in your own words and even citing it to make sure it's your own text. That's just some general stuff. So avoid the chatty tone, avoid the colloquial tone, avoid the pronoun I, avoid the pronoun you. Go for complete sentences. Make sure that you don't start every sentence in your text with the word the. Mix it up a little bit. Use active voice verbs. Don't say, Beethoven would go on to compose many more symphonies in his lifetime. No, say, Beethoven composed many more symphonies in his lifetime. Do you hear the distinction? Don't use the passive voice, use the active voice.
Are you too big for the side, right?
Yeah, provided that you don't make that all 10. That's again like the jalapeno and the cornbread. Easy does it. Easy does it with film. Easy does it with YouTube. Stuff like that.
Most YouTube videos would cite their sources anyway, though, so I think you might be able to go and see where they got that information.
Yeah. And the nice thing about Wikipedia, although you can't use it on your bibliography, is that at the end of every Wikipedia article, you've got a bibliography telling you where whoever wrote it got their stuff. And it's, that's real useful to just shop their bibliography and see if it does you any good.
And on the Wikipedia thing, those are usually in text citations, they have a link at the end.
They do.
You click that, it takes you right to.
They do. They do. And the complaint about Wikipedia is that it's not peer reviewed, but there are very few times I've found it not to be correct, which is why I have no problem at all when I'm looking something up. I always start with Wikipedia because number one, it's right there. Number two, I can read it really fast. I don't want to agonize over it. I want the information right there. I want to get through it. And then I can take my time to do something. So, anyway. So I just trashed the validity of a video. Didn't care for that. The ebooks. So ebooks collection and e-brary collection on this new terminology we're acquiring. Who knows how long it takes to the actual language. But there is a thing called an ebook, which means it is an electronic book. You access it online. It is an entire book printed in text that you can see. You read it page by page, and you do a little click to go to the next page. And our library's got something like 40,000 volumes. And I don't know, I've never had the time to really look at everything they have on music. I don't know if there's anything applicable in our ebook library for you, but you can search by topic and discover and see if there is. The only tricky thing about an ebook is it's like an actual physical book. If you're reading it, no one else can read it at the same time. So if you've got it open and looking for it and somebody else needs it, they have to wait till you're done. Much like as if you check your book out of the library. Yeah. I know, you would think that if it's online, some kind of fairy could fix it so that multiple people could read it at the same time.
Is that because the library only wants one license for alcohol?
Yes, and that's exactly right. And Bailey called it this because the library has a license for these things. If you buy a copy, they actually have to buy a copy at a time. And if two people could read it, then that's technically 2 copies. We didn't pay for that. Our library budget is enormous, and they spend a fortune for the research that we're able to do online. And your online research in hand copy is as good as you could do anywhere at any other school. It's just our hard copy stuff's a little on the big side, which is why interlibrary loan, that's why you need to identify your sources and quickly discover that we don't own them, and then make steps to get them yourselves. And the scholarly journals are kind of the same thing. We don't take those magazines, but we can get copies of articles of those magazines. And I say we don't take the magazines, I mean they're not physically sent to campus to where we can have them. And to access the articles for those magazines online, they make you pay. Because you can imagine how else they're going to make their money. A typical scholarly journal can be, to get 3 or 4 a year can be anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a year for a subscription. So imagine taking you know, imagine taking Us Weekly or whatever it is, except it's $1,000 a year. So these are not ordinary magazines. Each magazine is like a book. And it's as carefully vetted and reviewed. And so we don't subscribe to a lot of those. The big ones that are the music scholarly journals, and I don't know how many of them I can even remember from memory because I don't do research anymore, thank God. But one's called Musical Quarterly. It comes out 4 times a year. That's really the big one. That's the gold standard. And there's not a person in the room who doesn't have a topic where there's an article relevant to whatever you're doing in some issue of Musical Quarterly. And Musical Quarterly, the journals, I'll tell you this, even articles in Musical Quarterly that go way back, those are okay. I'm more suspicious about the books, but those journals, that's solid research. So if you find a really great article on troubadours and it's published in 1947, you can use it. It's probably going to be fine. But Musical Quarterly is a big one. There's one called JAMS, Jams, Journal of the American Musicological Society. But if you just put capital JAMS, you're in good shape. Those are the big two. Musical Quarterly, JAMS. There's one called Music Theory. For those of you that, that would be good for you. Doing tuning and temperament, music theory, German music theory. What else? There's a journal put out by the Society for Ethnomusicology. So if any of you are doing something kind of nation specific, so that would be good for you, Sean, there's bound to be something there about Iceland, which even though it would be modern, might be quite relevant. So what else? Society for Ethnomusicology, SEM. The Society for Ethnomusicology. And then there's, nobody's doing this because it hasn't been invented yet. Next semester there's a magazine called the Piano Quarterly, which has everything to do with music, with keyboard, and there's also a journal called Keyboard, which would be useful probably in my next semester. And yeah, lots of, there's stuff like that. But that's what I mean by scholarly journal. Okay. We might not really need the library tour if you're good with your clicker finger and this website, as well as maybe trotting over there to actually speak with the librarian. And as far as the books for the music section are concerned, it's a pretty small section of the library, but go to letter M, and that's where they are. Scholars, that's just coincidence. The library system does not have an alphabet letter that matches up with your topic, so if you're interested in food, you don't go to F. But it does work out that for music, it's M. And for music theory, this is even better, it's MT. Pure coincidence. Lovely though, right? So anyway, they're all right there together. And it's basically just about it's like one aisle with books on either side. And intermixed in with the stuff about Bach and Beethoven, you'll find a biography of Leonard Bernstein and Barbara Streisand. So it's not always, it's not all pure scholarship you're seeing. It's just the way they organize it. So if you think, we got a lot of music books, yeah, and 2 of them are about Frank Sinatra too, and that doesn't do us any good either. So be careful with that. Okay. I believe, just looking at the class, I think we've almost got 100% attendance in here, if not in reality.